Nico lived a quiet life on Relune 5, a small planet far from Earth. He had chosen this planet because it was peaceful. There were no big cities, no loud traffic, and no wars. Just green hills, clear skies, and fields full of crops. Nico worked on a small farm and lived in a wooden cabin. Most days he read old books, repaired machines, and watched the stars. Relune 5 had few visitors. So when Nico saw a strange light in the sky one morning, he stopped digging and looked up. A silver ship floated down, slowly landing in a nearby field. It was smooth and round, with no windows or doors at first. Then, with a soft hiss, a ramp opened from its side. 3 figures stepped out. They were not human. They were tall and thin, with smooth light blue skin and large golden eyes. Their feet didn't touch the ground. They floated just a little above it. Their clothes looked like glowing fabric, changing color with the wind. Nico stood still, holding his shovel, not sure what to do. One of them spoke in a soft musical voice. "Hello, are you the human?" Nico nodded. "Yes, I live here. Who are you?" The tallest one smiled and placed a hand on her chest. "I am Lena. This is Pico, and that is Mira. We come from the Aryan Star Cluster. We are researchers." "Researchers?" Nico asked, raising an eyebrow. "Yes," said Mira. "We study life on other planets. You are the first human we have found this far from Earth. We are very curious about your physical structure." Pico leaned forward with bright eyes. "Please show us what's between your legs, human." Nico blinked. His face turned red. "What?" Lena quickly raised her hand. "Please do not misunderstand. We mean no offense. We have read about your species, but never seen one up close. We have no joints in our lower limbs. Your knees are very interesting to us." "Oh," Nico said, feeling a bit relieved. "You mean my knees?" "Yes," Myra said excitedly. "We float, we do not bend, but you walk, you run, you bend. It is amazing. May we see how you do it?" Nico laughed a little. "All right, I guess I can show you." He stepped forward and set his shovel aside. Then, slowly he squatted down, showing how his knees bent. He stood up again, then walked in a circle, lifted each leg, and even jogged a little in place. The alien girls watched closely, their golden eyes wide with wonder. "Incredible," Lena whispered. "You bend the middle part of your leg and push your body forward. Such simple design, yet such power. It is like a hinge," Pico said. "Yes," said Nico. "It's called a knee joint. All humans have 2. May we see it closer?" asked Mira. Nico sat on the grass and pulled up his pants just enough to show his knee. The joint looked simple, just skin, some hair, and a small bump where the bone was. But the aliens leaned in, amazed. "You control this with muscle, yes?" asked Lena. "Exactly," Nico said. "Muscles and tendons. They pull and push to move the bones. Can you jump?" Pico asked. Nico smiled. "Sure." He stood up, bent his knees, and leapt into the air. It wasn't very high, but when he landed, the aliens clapped their hands and made soft beeping sounds, which Nico guessed was their way of cheering. "This is beautiful," Myra said. "We have never seen motion like this. Your body is made for land travel. We float using magnetic fields inside our bodies. We do not touch the ground, and we never jump." "That sounds easier than walking," Nico said. Lena smiled. "Maybe, but it means we do not play or move like you. This is why we wanted to study you." Nico thought for a moment. "I could show you some more. Do you want to learn a game?" "A game?" Pico asked. "It's called tag. One person tries to catch the others by running. We played it as kids on Earth." "Running?" Myra's eyes lit up. "Show us." Nico explained the rules, then pointed. "I'll be it. You 3 try to float away before I tag you." The aliens laughed, floated a few steps, and Nico began to chase them. Of course they were faster in the air, but they had trouble changing direction quickly. Nico zigzagged, jumped, and finally tagged Pyko on her arm. "I got you," he shouted. Pyko floated in a small circle and laughed. "Your leg things are powerful." After a few rounds, everyone was laughing. Even Nico. The aliens floated down to rest beside him on the grass. "You're not just strong," Lena said. "You're fun and helpful," Mira added. "We've learned more in one day with you than in a whole year of reading," Nico smiled. "Glad I could help. I guess legs are more interesting than I thought." The sun was setting behind the hills, casting orange light across the sky. The alien ship shimmered, and the four knew. Friends sat together, sharing stories of Earth, the stars, and knees. The next morning, Nico woke up to a soft humming sound outside his cabin. At first, he thought it was just wind, but when he looked out the window, he saw the silver alien ship again. This time, it wasn't just parked, it was floating above his vegetable garden. The three alien girls were already outside, waiting for him with bright, excited faces. "Good morning, human Nico," called out Lena. Nico stepped outside, rubbing his eyes. "You're back early." "We could not sleep," said Mira. "We kept talking about your legs." "Especially the knees," added Pyko. "We want to understand more." Nico laughed and stretched. "All right, lesson 2 starts now." He walked over to an open patch of land. The alien girls floated beside him, their glowing clothes changing color in the morning light. Nico noticed they were holding strange tools, small round discs with blinking lights. "What are those?" he asked. "Motion scanners," said Lena. "They help us record movement. We want to capture how your knees work from every angle." Nico nodded. "Okay, but you might see a lot of dust and dirt. It's part of walking here." "We are ready," Pyko said, eyes shining. Nico began by walking slowly in a straight line. He explained every step out loud. "This is how I lift one. Leg bend the knee. Move forward. Biceps down. Then repeat." The alien girls floated in circles around him, scanning each motion. They whispered to each other in their own language, but their faces showed deep concentration. "Why do you bend both knees when you sit?" asked Mira. "It makes sitting comfortable," Nico explained. "If I don't bend, I fall over." He demonstrated by sitting on a large rock, bending his knees smoothly. The aliens watched closely. "Can you kneel?" Lena asked. "Sure." Nico went down on one knee, then both, resting on the ground like someone in prayer. He looked up. All 3 girls had their scanners glowing red. "Incredible," said Pyko. "Your knees can go forward and backward." "Well, not too far backward," Nico said. "They can get hurt if bent the wrong way." Lena looked serious. "You mean your knees can break?" "Sadly, yes," said Nico. "If a person falls badly or twists too much, the joint can be damaged." The aliens floated closer, concerned. "But how do you protect them?" "Strong muscles help," Nico explained. "Also being careful." The girls looked at each other. Then Lena nodded and said, "We wish to try using our limbs. Like yours." "You mean you want to walk?" Nico blinked. "Yes," said Mira. "We practiced hovering close to the ground last night. Now we wish to copy your steps." Pyko floated down until her feet barely touched the soil. She wobbled a bit, then tried to move one foot forward. She had no knees, so her movements looked stiff and awkward. She took 2 small steps and nearly fell face first, but Nico quickly grabbed her arm. "Easy there," he laughed. "You're doing fine. Walking is hard." Pyko pouted. "You're doing something your body never needed to do," Nico said kindly. "You're learning a whole new way of moving." Lena tried next. She gently tapped her feet to the ground and copied the motion, slowly swinging her legs forward. Her floating powers still helped her stay upright, but it was clear she was enjoying the challenge. "It feels strange," she said. "Like pretending to be heavier than we are." "That's exactly it," Nico said. Walking means you feel your weight, your balance. You lean forward and trust your legs to catch you. I don't understand how you run, Mira said. Can you show us again? Sure, Nico smiled. Watch closely. He backed up, bent his knees slightly, and took off at a light jog. His steps were light and quick. The aliens hovered beside him, scanning everything. His feet kicked up dust, and his arms moved in rhythm. He stopped after a short sprint and took a deep breath. That's how I run. Your knees ... they move so much. Pico said. It's like dancing with gravity. Nico chuckled. That's one way to say it. Mira suddenly asked, do humans walk like this even in space? Not exactly, Nico said. In space we float too. But on any planet with gravity, yes, we walk. Then maybe we should learn this, said Lena softly. If our floating tech fails one day, we must be ready. That's a smart thought, Nico said. Legs are good backup. The alien girls practiced walking all morning. Nico helped by drawing lines in the dirt for them to follow. They wobbled, tripped, and sometimes even floated back up when things got too hard. But each time, they tried again. By noon, they could take 5 full steps on the ground. We did it, shouted Pico, nearly falling again. You're doing great, Nico said, clapping. Tomorrow, said Lena, breathing heavily even though she didn't need to. We want to learn how to dance. Nico smiled. Now that will be fun. The alien girls floated happily back to their ship, chatting in their language while Nico returned to his cabin. He looked at his knees and laughed. Never thought they'd be this popular. The next morning, Nico was already outside, brushing dust off an old solar speaker. He placed it on a flat rock near his cabin and connected it to his tablet. It still worked. He smiled. Today was dance day. Just as he adjusted the volume, the familiar soft hum of the alien ship filled the air. The silver craft lowered gently into the same field as before. The ramp opened, and Lena, Pico, and Mira floated out, their glowing robes already shifting to shades of green and yellow. We're ready, Pico shouted excitedly. Good, Nico said. I found some earth music. Dancing will be easier with rhythm. Rhythm? Mira tilted her head. It's the pattern of sound, Nico explained. Your body follows the beat. You move with the music. Lena floated closer. We do not have this kind of music on our planet. Most of our songs are mind-shared without sound. Then this will be something new, Nico smiled. Let's start simple. He tapped his tablet, and a soft earth tune began to play. It was a cheerful folk song, with a steady beat and light guitar. Nico stepped onto the dirt patch he had cleared yesterday and began to move. He tapped his foot, bent his knees, and shifted his weight side to side. His arms swayed gently as he stepped left, then right, then spun slowly in a circle. The alien girls watched with wide eyes. You are balancing with movement, Mira whispered. It looks like floating on the ground. Yes, Nico laughed. But with your own body power. Lena was the first to try. She lowered her float level until her feet touched the ground. Slowly, she copied Nico's side steps, but her motions were stiff. Try relaxing, Nico said kindly. Let the music guide you. Don't think, just feel it. Lena closed her eyes and tried again. This time, her movement was smoother. Her legs didn't bend much, but she swayed with surprising grace. Pico followed next. She was quick and energetic, bouncing slightly as she copied Nico's spin. Her glowing robe flashed pink and gold with each turn. I like this, she shouted. It feels silly and fun. Mira moved more slowly, focusing on her steps. Her balance wasn't perfect, but her golden eyes sparkled with joy. Nico clapped his hands. That's it, you're dancing. The music changed to a faster song. Nico began a different dance, lifting one knee, spinning, then stepping forward and back. The aliens did their best to follow, sometimes floating too high, sometimes stepping too hard into the dust. But they laughed every time they got it wrong. At one point, Lena slipped and fell backward, but since she floated, she just bounced gently in the air. "Are you okay?" Nico asked. Lena laughed. That was fun. They danced for almost an hour. By the end, the girls could follow simple moves without floating. Their steps were short and awkward, but full of heart. "This is the first time we have used our limbs for joy," Mira said, catching her breath. "We never thought legs could be fun." Lena added, "Humans dance for many reasons," Nico said. "Celebration, friendship, even to feel better when they're sad." "Do all humans dance?" Pico asked. "Most do," Nico said. "Even if they're not good at it." "You are good at it," Lena said. Nico smiled. "Thanks. I used to dance on Earth sometimes, but it's been a long time." The music faded, and the group sat together on a blanket Nico had spread out. The alien girls were still glowing from the joy of movement. They drank from bottles of cool water Nico had brought, while he passed around slices of sweet fruit from his garden. "We want to learn more," said Lena. "More dances, more human movement." "I can teach you," Nico said. "But you'll need time to build balance. You have no knees, remember." Mira looked at her own legs and laughed. "Maybe we can ask our engineers to grow some," Nico chuckled. "That might take more than a dance class." Suddenly, a small hover drone zipped toward them. It stopped in front of Lena and blinked blue. "What's that?" Nico asked. "A message drone," Lena said. She tapped it with her finger, and a soft voice played from the device in a language Nico didn't understand. The girls looked surprised. "What's wrong?" Nico asked. Lena turned to him. "Word of your dancing and running has spread. Other scientists want to visit. They are sending more explorers to study you." "Me?" Nico blinked. "But I'm just a farmer." "You are more than that now," Mira said. "You are the first ground dancer many of us have ever seen." "We should prepare," Pico said. "We'll help organize a demonstration." Nico raised his eyebrows. "You mean like a show?" "Yes," Lena nodded. "A human motion performance." Nico scratched his head. "I guess I better polish my boots." The aliens laughed. As the sun began to set, casting a soft golden light over the field, the music started again. This time, the aliens didn't ask for help. They stood, copied the steps from memory, and danced on their own. It wasn't perfect, but it was beautiful. Nico watched them and smiled. "Groundwalkers," he whispered. "You're becoming dancers." 1 week passed, and life on Relune 5 was no longer quiet. Nico's peaceful farm had become something like a training center. Alien ships came from different parts of the star system. Every day, more visitors arrived, scientists, engineers, explorers, all with the same request. "Please show us what's between your legs, human." Nico sighed each time but smiled. "You mean knees, right?" "Yes. Knees, walking, running, sitting, everything." It was no longer just Lena, Pico, and Mira. Now there were tall aliens with long arms, short ones with round heads, and glowing beings that blinked when excited. All of them were curious. They floated, hovered, or rolled into Nico's field. Eager to watch the human move, Nico had to draw white lines on the ground. Just to keep order, he created 3 zones: walking zone, knee zone, and dance zone. In the walking zone, he taught them how to move forward using one leg at a time. In the knee zone, he explained how knees bent like hinges and allowed humans to sit, squat, or jump. In the dance zone, music played all day as aliens attempted Earth-style moves, their robes fluttering and limbs wobbling. Some even brought note-taking bots that hovered around Nico's knees, scanning every angle. One day, a tall alien from the crystal planet of Farina 9 floated down and asked, "Do knees help you climb mountains too?" "Yes," Nico answered. "And stairs." "Stairs?" The alien blinked. "What are those?" Nico drew a staircase in the dirt and acted it out. He stepped up, then down. The alien gasped in wonder and recorded the entire thing. Soon someone started calling Nico the ground teacher. Another called him the one who bends. He laughed and shook his head. I'm just showing people how humans live. Pico, who was now very good at slow walking, said, but no one ever taught us to walk. Your knees are like magic. One evening, Lena brought news. A broadcast was made. A what? Nico asked. A message across the star network. She explained. A group of alien scholars released a short video titled, What's Between the Human's Legs? Nico nearly dropped his watering can. Please tell me that's just a translation issue, Lena laughed. Don't worry. The video shows you teaching us to walk, run, and dance. It is very popular. Your knees are famous now. Mira arrived with a floating tablet. Would you like to see it? Nico nodded. On the screen, the video began with calm music and dramatic narration. In the far hills of Raloon 5, a lone human lives among crops and wind. But hidden beneath his body lies the secret of the Earth species, the joint called the knee. Clip showed Nico bending down to plant a seed, jumping during a dance, and helping Pico balance during her first steps. Then came slow-motion shots of his knees moving like hinges. Nico covered his face. They made a movie about my knees? Mira giggled, and a second part is being made. This one will be called Rise of the Groundwalkers. At first, Nico thought it was silly. But then he noticed something. The aliens weren't just curious anymore. They were inspired. One young alien who had always floated started practicing walking every day until she could cross the entire field without help. Another learned to dance with strong leg wraps to copy human movements. Someone else invented a tiny fake knee joint for fun, attaching it to a robot leg. Even the younger aliens, who had no duties or science jobs, started imitating human games. They rolled in the dirt, chased each other, and laughed like Earth children. This is bigger than just knees now, Lena said one night as they sat under the stars. It is about movement, about touching the ground, feeling gravity. It's about being alive in a new way, Pico added. Nico looked around. His farm, once quiet and lonely, was full of laughter and music. He never thought simple things, like walking and bending, would bring so many beings together. Then came the council ship. It was large, shaped like a silver flower, and landed slowly just outside the farm. 3 alien leaders floated out. They wore dark robes and spoke in deep, formal voices. Human Nico, said the first. We have watched your teachings. You have opened a door, said the second. Many wish to step through. The third added, we would like to build something. Here, a place of motion. Nico blinked. You mean like a gym? No, said the first leader. A center for learning human movement. We will call it the Hall of Knees. Nico scratched his head. That name could use work. But it will help generations, said Lena softly. Nico smiled. All right, let's do it. And so plans began. Aliens brought tools, materials, and floating builders. They started shaping an open hall near the hills, where classes could be held and music could play. Everyone worked together. Even Nico helped build the stairs. At the top of the new stairs, he stood tall, bent one knee, and waved to the crowd. Visitors cheered, some clapped, others floated. All were smiling. From a lonely farmer to a legend of movement, Nico had become something new, the first teacher of groundwalkers. The Hall of Knees was almost finished. Nico stood at the top of the new building's wide steps, watching alien workers float around. Some were carrying supplies, some were setting up seats, and others replacing banners with Earth-style drawings of knees, legs, and dancing feet. Lena floated beside him. Tomorrow is the big opening. I still can't believe it, Nico said. A school about walking. It's more than walking, said Pico, who hovered nearby. You showed us a new way to live. Just then, Mira came running, yes, running. She had trained hard for the past few days and could now run short distances with balance boots. "Nico!" she shouted. "Something's wrong. Gravity pulse coming." Everyone turned toward the sky. A strange deep hum filled the air. Birds flew away in panic. The clouds above began to swirl in odd shapes. A low vibration shook the ground beneath them. "What's happening?" Nico asked. Lena's glowing bracelet blinked red. "A gravity field is forming in this zone. It's unstable." Pico floated higher. "We need to move the ship." Before anyone could react, a bright wave of invisible energy washed over the area. It was silent, but powerful. Nico felt his knees shake. The ground pulled harder than before. Gravity had become stronger. And the aliens suddenly fell. All around the Hall of Knees, aliens dropped to the ground like leaves. Their floating tech was offline. For the first time in their lives they had weight. "Ow!" Pico cried as she landed face first in soft grass. Lena groaned, trying to stand up. "Our balance units ... not working." Some aliens could barely lift themselves. Others rolled onto their sides, confused and scared. "We don't know how to walk," shouted one. "We can't float," yelled another. Nico jumped into action. He ran to Pico and helped her sit up. Then he turned to Lena, supporting her under the arms. "You'll be okay," he said calmly. "Just breathe. We're used to this on Earth." "But our legs are weak," Lena said. "We never needed them before." Mira, who had trained with Nico, was still standing. She wobbled, but didn't fall. "I can help too," she said. "Good." Nico nodded. "Help me get them moving." He ran to his shed and grabbed rope, long sticks, and wooden planks. Then he returned to the field and started building quick support frames, something like walkers for toddlers. Aliens leaned on them, learning to stand. "This is called a cane," Nico said, handing one to a confused Farina 9 researcher. The alien held it awkwardly, then slowly pushed himself up. "Good. Now bend your leg forward." No other leg, yes. "That's it." One by one, Nico and Mira helped the alien stand, balance, and take small steps. "We're walking." "Badly," shouted a short alien happily. "You're walking." Nico laughed. "That's what matters." He helped another group by tying wooden boards together into flat platforms with wheels. "These are sleds. Sit on them. I'll pull." He attached ropes to his waist and began pulling the sleds one by one to a nearby shelter. It was hard work, his muscles burned, but he didn't stop. He was the only one who could still move freely in the new gravity. More aliens watched him, inspired. Even the ones who had fallen began crawling toward him for help. "I never respected gravity," muttered a tall alien as he hugged a support pole. "You will now," Nico said with a grin. By evening, over 40 aliens had been helped. Some could walk a little. Others were sitting and resting. All were safe. Nico sat on a rock, wiping sweat from his forehead. "This was not in the plan," he said. Lena, now sitting beside him, looked tired but smiled. "You saved us." "I didn't do it alone," Nico said. "Mira was great. And even the ones who fell, they didn't give up." Pico lay flat in the grass, groaning. "I still hurt. But I feel proud." Suddenly, the communication drone buzzed again. Lena tapped it. A voice came through. "The gravity pulse will last 2 more days. Stay grounded. Help is on the way." Nico nodded. "Then we keep training." The next day, the Hall of Knees became a true school. No more floating. Everyone had to walk to class now. The field was full of aliens learning to balance, stretch, and step. Nico taught them how to fall safely, how to rise, how to lean on each other when tired. It was no longer just a lesson in legs, it was a lesson in strength and teamwork. They laughed, they tripped, they clapped for each other. Even the leaders of the alien council, dressed in long robes, tried walking up the steps. One fell. Another slipped. But the third made it, slowly, step by step. When he reached the top, he raised his hands and said, "We honor the human." For he showed us how to walk in a world without wings. Everyone cheered. That night, Nico looked up at the stars. They were quiet again. The sky was calm. Mira came and sat beside him. "You didn't just teach us how to move," she said. "You taught us how to stand when we fall." Nico smiled. "That's what knees are for." 2 days passed, and the heavy gravity field still covered the skies of Raloon 5. Floating was impossible. No ships could lift off. Even simple tasks felt harder than usual. But something amazing had happened. The aliens had learned to adapt. Hall of Knees was no longer just a building. It had become a training ground, a hospital, and a celebration space all in one. Aliens of many shapes and colors walked its halls slowly, some with canes, others with balance boots, and a few still crawling, but they were all trying. Nico moved between groups, checking on everyone. He helped tie support ropes to a long wooden pole for an alien from the gas moon of Zeta. "Try leaning forward just a little," Nico said. "Now step. That's it." The alien smiled as he took his first full step without falling. Mira was nearby, helping others learn how to sit and stand. Pico was coaching a group through their first proper dance step. Lena was handing out cool drinks and cheering loudly every time someone made progress. Even though the gravity was still stronger than normal, the aliens had stopped complaining. They had become students of motion. One group built something new, a small tower with stairs. "Why?" Nico asked, watching them place each step carefully. "To train for Earth-style buildings," said a short alien with excitement. "If we visit your world one day, we want to be ready." Nico laughed. "Just wait until you try an elevator." Later that day, a loud beeping sound echoed through the sky. Everyone looked up. A large projection appeared above the valley, showing the symbol of the Galactic Council. Then, a voice spoke in many languages, including English. "This is the United Galactic Network. We honor the bravery and efforts of all life forms affected by the Raloon gravity event." Cheers erupted across the field. But the message wasn't over. "We give special thanks to human Nico of Earth." Nico froze. "Wait, what?" The voice continued. "For guiding those who could no longer float. For teaching balance, motion, and the strength to walk through hardship, we give him the title." The screen flashed with new words. Hero of the GRO field exploded with applause, claps, and alien sounds of celebration. Some shook their robes, others blinked in patterns, and many stomped their new walking feet. Pico shouted, "You're famous across 12 planets now." Mira clapped, "Hero of the ground, that's your new name." Nico rubbed the back of his neck, smiling shyly. "I didn't do anything special." "You did everything special," said Lena. "You turned a fall into a beginning." That evening, a celebration began under the twin moons. Colorful lights were set around the Hall of Knees. Music from Earth and other planets played on loudspeakers. Tables full of glowing fruits, spiced drinks, and sweet energy cubes were shared by all. Aliens danced. Their steps were still clumsy, but their joy was real. Nico watched from a bench, sipping cold juice. One alien stumbled and fell during a spin. But instead of staying down, he laughed and rolled back up. "Did you see that?" he shouted. "I stood up like a human." Pico joined him and twirled in a full circle. She had practiced all week, and now she danced without floating once. Lena sat beside Nico. "You've changed our way of life," she said. "We thought floating was everything. But now we understand something else." "What's that?" Nico asked. "That touching the ground is not weakness. It's connection." Nico nodded. "Sometimes walking makes you stronger than flying." At the center of the field, Mira climbed up a small platform and spoke into a speaker. "Today, we celebrate not just movement," she said, "but learning. We celebrate falling, getting up, and helping others stand. We celebrate human Nico, the first to show us the beauty of ground. The crowd cheered again. A group of young aliens ran across the field, laughing and kicking around object, a game Nico had taught them called kickball. They stumbled, they fell, but they kept playing. Nico smiled as he watched. He had come to Reloon 5 for peace and quiet. But now he had a new family, a new purpose, and a new name, Hero of the Ground. Later, as the stars shone above and the lights dimmed, Nico sat with his old boots beside him. The same boots he wore when he first met Lena, Pyko, and Mira. Lena looked at them and said, "We should place these in the hall." "You want to hang up my boots?" Nico laughed. "They are part of history," Mira said. "The first boots that taught us how to walk," Pyko added, "and maybe, someday, we'll build our own shoes." Nico smiled, looking out at the night. "If that day comes, I'll help you tie the laces." They laughed together, and under the twin moons of Reloon 5, the ground held strong. Feet touched earth, knees bent in rhythm. And in every step forward, the aliens carried a little piece of humanity. The gravity field over Reloon 5 finally faded. The stars returned to their normal brightness. Floating ships lifted off once again. The wind carried light breezes instead of heavy pressure. For most aliens, it was a relief. They could float again. Something strange happened. Many didn't want to. Aliens who had learned to walk, dance, and stand during the gravity crisis found themselves still using their feet. They moved slowly, with care, but with purpose. Floating had once made them feel free, but walking made them feel alive. Nico stood in front of the Hall of Knees, watching a new group of aliens arrive. Some were scholars. Others were children. Many had come just to see the human. A child from the crystal planet stepped forward shyly and asked, "Please, human, will you show us what's between your legs?" Nico smiled gently. "Of course. These are called knees." He bent one leg and tapped it lightly. The crowd watched with interest. The child's eyes widened. "You bend it on purpose?" "That's right," Nico said. "It helps me walk, sit, run, and even jump." "Can you show us jumping again?" asked another small alien. Nico chuckled. "Sure." He bent both knees, pushed off the ground, and landed softly. The crowd clapped and flashed lights in excitement. Mira, now an assistant teacher, stepped beside him. "You're still the star of the show." "I think the knees are more famous than me," Nico said. "No," said Lena, who joined them. "It was never just about knees. It was about the idea behind them, movement, learning, and choosing to try something new." Over the next few days, more walking schools were started on other parts of Reloon 5. Visitors returned home and shared their stories. On planets where everyone floated or rolled, new tools were built, simple balance supports, floor paths, even training boots modeled after Nico's shoes. One alien artist painted a giant mural on a wall near the Hall of Knees. It showed a human leg stepping forward, and dozens of aliens following behind, some walking, some crawling, some floating close to the ground, all smiling. The title of the mural was simple: The First Step. Nico was honored during a quiet ceremony held at sunset. A group of alien leaders presented him with a glowing medal shaped like a knee joint. "For showing us strength in falling," the elder said, "and joy in walking." Nico didn't give a big speech. He just said, "Thanks for letting me be part of your journey. I only showed you what humans do. The rest you did yourselves." The next morning, something new was waiting at Nico's door. It was a gift, a pair of soft, flexible boots designed by the aliens. They were shaped like his Earth boots, but made with light materials and glowing lines that adjusted to gravity. On the side was a small symbol, a kneeling figure holding out a hand to help someone stand. Lena explained, "These are yours. They're the first of many." "You made these?" Nico asked. Pyko smiled. "We made hundreds. They will be shared across star systems. They will help others walk, just like you helped us. Nico sat down and slipped the boots on. They fit perfectly. He stood up, took a few steps and grinned. Feels like walking on clouds. Later that day, the first group of fully trained alien dancers performed at the hall. There were no hover moves, only walking, bending, and turning in rhythm to music. Their steps were clumsy at times, but each move was full of energy and happiness. Nico watched with pride. He never thought his quiet life would lead to this. As the music played, one young dancer tripped and fell. Everyone gasped. But she laughed, got up on her own, and kept dancing. That moment got the loudest cheer of all. When the dance ended, Mira sat next to Nico and said, "Do you think humans would believe this story?" Nico looked at the wide starry sky. "Probably not, but I'm glad it happened. We are too." Before nightfall, Nico walked up a hill near his cabin. He looked down at the field where it all began, the place where he first showed his knees, ran across the grass, and helped 3 floating aliens take their first steps. The wind was soft. The stars twinkled above. He smiled and whispered, "One small bend for man, one giant step for aliens." Behind him, the Hall of Knees glowed gently, full of laughter and movement. The world had changed, and it all started with a very strange question. "Please show us what's between your legs, human."